What's up, beautiful humans? Welcome to the Transgender Mentor Podcast, episode 2, the emotional transition. You guys know these episodes have been hit or miss, and the reason that is because I'm really working hard to finish up my season of the Recovery Soul Food podcast, and in the same essence, really dig into bringing all of you amazing human beings the best project content and information that I can possibly bring. So this show is going to go through a lot of changes here in its first season. We've got a lot to work out. We want to hear from you and know what it is you're needing. I also have an amazing guest co-host that's going to be joining me very, very, very soon, and you're going to love him. We've got great segments lined up. We're going to tackle just all topics: gender transitioning, hard conversations, bathrooms, the differences in gender and sexuality. We want to inform and inspire and really give, even though we're not medical professionals, what I want to bring to the table is just some little things that help keep us focused keep us focused on health, because there are a lot of things that we go through as transitioning human beings that are compromising to our health. And and if we don't become aware of those things and take the proper precautions, we don't want to destroy our bodies when we're learning to love our bodies. And so we'll be bringing so much information to you, but we do want to hear from you. What are some of the things that you go through in your gender transition, pre-transition, with your family, your friends, your workplace? Different topics, name, all those things. We want to hear from you because we want to make content that is actually going to nourish your soul and help you just feel better in your own skin. Now, the reason I created the Transgender Mentor podcast is because I'm 3 years into my physical transition from born female to male, the gender that actually matches everything that I am on the inside. And when I was in the process of, getting ready to actually go into physical transitioning, meaning hormone replacement therapy and all the things that we have to do to become whole within ourselves, I found so much about physical transition. I mean, you look up transgender, you look up trans health, trans medicine, all those things, and you find, countless numbers of timeline videos, and which I love. We need those things. You find so much information about the physical things that are going to happen to your body. And while we all love that and we understand that, and that stuff is important to us, I have found 3 years into hormone replacement treatment, and just as transitioning gets real, I have found there are a lot of emotional changes that go along with this as well. And they're not only happening within me, but they're also happening to the people that are in my reality, my family, my friends. Often we fail to think, once we start transitioning, how our transition is affecting those that we love. And while we are, can be hyper vigilant about not living for anyone else, when we have the people that love and support us in our lives, I think it's important for us to check in with them and see how they're doing. Because when we transition, we're not doing it by ourselves all the time. I realize that some of us are, and for that, my heart really, really breaks for you, because I don't believe any human being deserves to be alone or shunned in this world for being who they are and having the courage to step into, their true identity, regardless of what that presents as. I think that all human beings, we require the same things. We're all seeking the same things: love, happiness, acceptance, wholeness, health, wealth, happiness, and kindness. We all require the same things. And yet it's so easy for us to forget that when we are presented with something that doesn't jive or meld with us or what we think we believe. And so, I want to say to any person who's living their trans life, living their, gay, bisexual, non-binary life, their cis life even, you deserve love. You deserve acceptance. And if you're experiencing this alone, and you feel alone today, or you question whether you are loved, please let me let you know right now, you are loved. I love you. No shit. I truly love you. But for of us that are transitioning and we're going through this with, I have a wife of we're in our 16th year of a relationship. I often feel like I can't imagine doing this without her. I have a mother, a sister, nieces and nephews, and in-laws, and this also affects their life as well. And I want to make sure that's understood. I want them to be heard in this as well. And so, not finding when I started really going through some of the emotional parts of transitioning, I really couldn't find very much information. And I couldn't believe that I was the only one experiencing these differences. Because like I said, a few minutes ago, we get excited when we are actually taking that courageous step in beginning the transition process. And we get excited about the physical things because that's what makes our outside match up to our inward identity. But there are real things that take place within us when you are going through hormonal changes. There are huge differences between the male and female hormones. And no matter what side of the fence or which way you're going, sometimes we may find ourselves unprepared for those differences. I know I did. I remember laying in bed one night very early in my transition before I began, sprouting hair and my body was shifting and everything. And I was so desperate for these changes to take place, but I was right on the cusp of really beginning to be able to see changes. And I just got this overwhelming panic within me. Here I was, 44 years old, and I had known that my inside and outsides did not match when I was 4 years old. So there it was, 40 years I had lived in and detested that female body. I was super excited to now finally be stepping into myself. But there was this moment when I was laying there and I just became overwhelmed with this panicked anxiety. It was like, this shit is really getting real. It's no longer a fantasy that's swirling around in my mind. It's no longer a dream. It's no longer this unachievable goal. This stuff is happening. I live in the South. I live in the number one state that has the biggest bathroom fight and issue. This shit's getting real. And it was in that very moment that I started really thinking about my mom and her business, in which we all work in. My wife, my son, and and all of those things, and it just became so overwhelming, and I felt like I didn't have anyone to really talk to about it. And even though I was going to a support group, which, I love every person in that support group, I almost felt embarrassed to ask that question because I didn't want people to think I wasn't committed, or that I didn't know that this was right for me, or that I didn't think that this was right. And I think that for sure, I can't be the only person who's ever really thought that. I was so overwhelmed. I was desperately paralyzed in panic, and yet felt embarrassed to talk about it. And in all honesty, I didn't want to talk to the people that were close to me about it that aren't transitioning, because I think some of them still struggle to understand. Um, and I didn't want to hear things like, well, are you rethinking your choice? Have you made the wrong choice? I mean, all those things, like, choice is really a thing. I would never have made a choice to grow up confused and hurt and all of those things that you do, that you experience when you're born not matching up inside. So I didn't want to hear that, and I didn't want anybody to say that, and I didn't want to give anybody a reason to think that that this is an actual choice. I was just so confused, and yet felt even more lonely and isolated because I had no one to talk to about it. I think so many of us get into this place, maybe this situation where you want to talk to someone else that is going through the same things, and maybe it's just not so readily available. And though we have some of the most amazing support groups online, and even maybe in your area, it still is sometimes an uncomfortable thing to talk about and bring up. So that's a lot of what this show is about. And that's a lot of the inspiration of why this show is to be anyway, because I want to shatter that stigma and step up and talk about it, because I can't be the only one that goes through it. I can't be the only one that not only feels physical changes, but also experiences deep emotional changes as well. Long and short of it is I show up different in the world now. And I don't necessarily show up as a man or show up as a woman. I show up as just me. But still, when we are in the process of transitioning, we don't take our first shot or take our first pill and the next day, ta-da, wake up as the gender we feel we truly are. There is a long period in there of very awkwardness and different things that we have to go through. I mean, I'm 47 years old with a 12-year-old beard. That doesn't look like, I don't always pass as a man. And to tell you the truth, I'm really confused about this passing topic. And we'll get into that, I guess, in another episode. I can't tackle everything in this one episode, but I just want us to break down the barriers. We, just like in the recovery community and in any group of people, we can't ask outside society to fully accept us, to be open to us and love us if we're not willing to do it in-house first. And we should not have to feel so awkward and uncomfortable about having these conversations amongst each other, until we're fully accepting one and another, and there is no prejudice or judgment within our communities. Only then can we truly step out as a united force into society and say, here we are, accept us or don't. But you know what? we accept us and we accept each other. I think it's a dream for us to think that we are going to be welcomed into society and seen as the human beings that we are if we can't see ourselves that way. So I don't mind talking about this stuff, and I don't mind being talked about, because I know I am not the only one that's going through these things. And some days it's harder than others to be trans, because we know that a lot of people aren't kind. And many people don't see the courage that it takes for us to step up and be us. But I want to take this opportunity to remind you today that this is your life. And I stayed locked in a 22-year addiction, desperate for my life to be over because of the shame I felt and the dissatisfaction that I felt in life because I wasn't able to be and express who I really was. And I admire each and every single one of you that step into your wholeness and just grab a hold of your life and who you are, and you boldly step in it and live it, regardless of what that presents as. But especially my trans family, because we're the ones getting the stares, the snickers, the abuse, the trans violence that takes place in this world still today in the year 2021 is ridiculous. But I feel like as trans people in this time, we have a duty to the generations that will come after us, just as the trans people of the generations before us fought for us to be this far. And I just want to know, when I am in my last moments of life, that I did all I could do to leave a legacy of love and of hope and of life and of acceptance and of happiness and wholeness and all of that beautiful, beautiful life force. I want to know that I did all that I could to leave this world better than I found it. And I admire each and every one of you with all of my heart. And I want us to come together and be there for each other. And I want us to stand up, locked together in a mission where we're not fighting amongst ourselves, and we're not saying who's more trans than the other, and we're not, being discriminated against in our own alphabet mafia, so I've heard it said. We have to learn to love each other for who we are, to admire each other's strength, to be able to talk one to another about the things that we're going through. Trans violence is real. It's so real. It's happening at alarming rates. And it can't continue to go unpunished. It can't continue to go unseen and talked about. And we start with us by getting stronger with each other. Some of the things that I have experienced in this transition inwardly have been learning how to re-feel my emotions. There is a big, big difference between the emotions of estrogen and the emotions of testosterone. And for me, I am a person who is very spiritually connected and have been very empathic all my life and very connected to other human beings. And I'm having to learn and almost mourn the loss, so to speak, of the way I was emotionally connected as I had estrogen in my body, to the way that it's not that I'm not emotionally connected, but it just seems a little watered down. I don't even know the words to use. It seems like it's a little flatter. And not saying one is better than the other. I think it's a very personal situation, but these are the changes that I notice and that, I'm working through and dealing with and trying to re-navigate and learn how to be me. And some days it's kind of overwhelming, without a doubt. The whole situation's overwhelming to where I wake up and I just want to pull the covers back over my head and just stay there. I'll be back. I'll be out in a year when I can come out with a full grown man's beard and and no questions asked. But that's just not the life we get to lead. And I don't think it would help anyone if we could do that. The bottom line is we are human beings with real human feelings. And we all, again, just want the same things. We're all on a journey of life to have experiences, to have connections, to do things that make us proud, to learn from the things that don't necessarily make us proud. But we're here in pursuit of happiness and the freedom to be who we are. So I want to say to you again, I love you so much. And I support each and every one of you in your journey towards your happiness. I think you're the most badass humans on the planet because it takes so much courage to embrace who you truly are and live your authentic life. And regardless of who may try to snatch that title away from you today, you hold on to it because you deserve it. And together, we can make a valid difference in this society, in this world. I really do love you all, and I support you, and I really can't wait to bring you all that the Transgender Mentor is being produced and planned to be. We deserve to have this voice on platforms that can raise the awareness of who we are and what we go through just to live a comfortable, happy life. So all of you today, know that I just think that you are absolutely amazing. And I thank you for being here in this time and space with me. I thank you for being partners with me on this beautiful life journey towards happiness. I want to hear from you. I want to know about the things that you're going through, topics that you want us to visit on this podcast, things, information you need, inspiration you can give. I mean, really, really connect with me, connect with the show, and connect one with another. I'd love for us to grow just an amazing, beautiful trans tribe right here with the Transgender Mentor podcast. So we are on Spotify, Google Play stuff, Anchor.fm. And hey, if you want to support the podcast, you can always go to Anchor, ANCHOR.FM/transgender mentor. And become a supporter of the podcast, because it does cost money to produce these things and make these shows, but I do it strictly from my heart. And if you want to help with that, there are many different packages from 99 cents a month to $4.99 a month to $9.99 a month. And that just helps keep us it just helps the show pay for itself, its monthly subscriptions to bring all of this to you and all the things that go along with that. But you can push the like and share button and subscribe button, and that is just as important. Help us grow this platform, because in return, it's growing our presence into society. I absolutely adore each and every one of you and look forward to connecting with you and hearing what you want to have brought to you as far as content goes. So thank you all for being here with me. ILC and the Transgender Mentor Podcast love you and thank you for your courageous, courageous, courageous living of your beautiful life. Y'all stay safe and we'll see you next time. Bye.